What is up, Gear Squad? Chain Gear here, bringing you another video. And today we are back with episode 26 of GearCast, the premier podcast of Chain Gear Gaming. Because there is a second podcast that every once in a while comes up on this channel, Peach's Picks, because I'm not by myself. I'm not by myself here at GearCast or Chain Gear Gaming. We are also here with a loyal co-host, Vampire Peaches.
We're doing it live. We're back. Yay! How you doing? How are you doing, buddy? I saw you yesterday at work.
You did. Yeah, I was visited by some friends, yourself, and another friend as well. That was pretty cool. That was fun. I appreciate that. Yeah, I've had a stressful week, a lot of changes at work, but in all, it's been a pretty good week. Even though there's been some stress, I feel like I've been pretty good. How about yourself?
I've been doing well. This week, same for me, has been demonstratively stressful. So like, we have best friend senses. So I was just like, there are times when we get to this like level of stress. I mean, Chain Gear's lives where it's like, okay, we just need to see each other, even if it's just like a brief moment in time. Because like we recharge each other's batteries extremely well. Like there'll be in days in high school where we'll be so stressed out, but we'll sit there. We won't even talk to each other, but we'll be in the same room and then we'll be fine.
That's very true.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I would say that's the majority of our friendship. Kind of later in our high school years was
definitely
just gaming and just being in the same place. That was certainly helpful. So let's jump into this. Well, actually, before we jump into it, I always want to jump the gun here. This episode is going to be interesting. There's a lot of news that happened this week. Like a lot.
All of the news, not a lot, all of it.
Like
dropping the same day.
Literally, like, you know, the presidential debate happened, which we're not going to talk about at all because this is about gaming news. But and literally that day, like right after it happened, you know, I went on YouTube to go look at all this news about the debate to learn, you know, to educate myself, and just like news after news after news dropped by like the biggest titles, the biggest hardware manufacturers, and we're going to go through all of that today. There is another topic that we're going to go over. There is another subject that we'll go over as well, but we're going to spend a meaty chunk of time on the news because there's so much of it. But if you guys want to chat with me afterwards, if you guys want to chat afterwards and like get involved, I'm actually my Discord link, a link to my Discord server, which is where kind of the community hangs out, is actually in the description right now. So in the description, under the kind of little excerpt that says what we're talking about today, under that you'll see a Discord link, and that's to get in. There's only 25 slots, and it ends at the end of today. I will open it up completely for everyone else later, but I just want to get people who are really involved who are on the stream right now. So the Discord is in the link below, or in the description below if you guys want to join and chat later. But as you can see, like I said, we're here back to normal, just me and Peaches right now. We do want other people to get involved. I'm really looking forward to having my old roommate come on soon. I'm actually doing a collab with Mr. Goat. If you guys know who that is, he's a YouTuber as well. Hopefully we're going to get a collab, have him on here. And so a lot of different things going on, but kind of wanted to get back to basics and just hang out a little bit with you guys and talk to you guys about the news. But before we get started, Peaches, what have you been playing recently?
Not Mafia 3 anymore. Done with that. Spoilers for potential review that's going up on the channel.
That'll be up on Tuesday. That'll be up on Tuesday for all those interested. Mafia 3 review.
Yeah, so don't buy it until then, okay? Until you hear what I have to say. Other than that, this is what always happens. Games come out, and I have them all stacked in my back catalog. Our collective problem, me and Chain Gear, is that we have games that we want to play and we want to beat, and all these games come out and they take a lot of time to beat. But we have life, we have school, we have work to get in the way of everything. But we always like to keep up to date with releases as they come out. So my BioShock collection has been left untouched. And with all these seasonal like and free updates of like Overwatch and Grand Theft Auto, I was like, oh, I'll play these because it's a limited time only, and I'm wasting so much time and grinding trying to get these items, and those two. So predominantly, I've been playing some local co-op stuff with my club that I have here at my university, as well as just GTA because I love the biker DLC so far, and the Halloween event for Overwatch we'll be talking about later.
Nice. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. Very similar feelings in a lot of ways, which might be very obvious. Um, Overwatch, lots of Overwatch. That's basically all I play. Day in, day out. I basically come home, and usually around 9:30, I go and play Overwatch. That's when Fat Kid Baby Seat Quincy is on. We play a lot of competitive. You and I, every once in a while, we'll hop on with some quick play with some other people, or we'll play the new Halloween event. So that's always
Yeah, I need to
cool.
jump in some of that competitive with you and Quincy because us three, we are magic.
Yeah, me and Quincy have been crushing recently, so that's always been fun. But yeah, a lot of Overwatch. Just hopped back into Destiny,
Oh
which
yes.
yeah, so I did not buy the DLC. Actually, I'm not ready for it yet. None of my friends have it. Actually, for all those that are interested, Ballistic Phoenix doesn't have a PlayStation 4 right now. So I know a lot of you guys don't even know who he is. He hasn't been around. But back in the day, he used to he started up the channel with me. He did some Warframe. Some Welcome to Warframe series, which actually did really well. But he actually doesn't have a PS4 right now. He'll be getting one soon again. He just had some money issues. But really excited to get back into that when he jumps back in. But I just decided, every single time Destiny updates, I always jump in, see what's new. For those that even don't have the update, because it does update for people who don't have the DLC. So that was cool too. I loved that. Spent a lot of time in there. And then kind of hopped back out, went back to Overwatch. I've also been playing some of my random games that I bought during sales. One being Cell Damage. If you guys don't know what Cell Damage is, I believe it's a PS2 game. I could be wrong. It might be a PS1 game, but it is a classic. And it has been completely HD, remastered or whatever. It is so much fun. It's just a destruction derby game, local co-op or local, not co-op. It's not a co-op game. Local competitive. Not sure if they have online. I'm assuming they don't, but they have a local competitive, and it was a lot of fun. I just played against bots just to get a feeling of it. Had a lot of fun. I'd love to, hopefully get some people over and play that soon. Maybe even live stream that. That'd be cool. Otherwise, I also played. Mafia and Deus Ex, but I'm having a hard time playing those. And it's the same reason, kind of what you had mentioned. It's just strenuous. Like playing Mafia, I just want to beat it just to get the story through. And again, you guys will learn more in Peach's review. But if you want to learn more right now, we have an impressions video. I would definitely recommend watching that. It's long, so you could just listen to it, but there is gameplay throughout the entire thing if you're interested. But yeah, it's a tough game to keep playing sometimes. I just want to get the story. And Deus Ex, it's a commitment because it's story driven, and so you have to really want to get through an entire chapter. And I haven't been able to really just sit down and be like, "Ooh, I really want to just progress in this game right now." So it's been hard for me to get back into those games, but a lot of Overwatch. But speaking of games that I've gotten on sale, this will probably be the only segue you'll hear today. There have been sales going on. Unfortunately, I didn't get to cover. What I like about this is that for you guys who are watching the stream right now, for you guys that are watching the stream, the Solid Jungle, Assassin, otherwise known as Mexican, LPS, Cute, UYT, Mr. Goat. What's up, guys? And thanks for coming in here, Mr. Goat.
Wait, LSP, like Littlest Pet Shop? That might be my sister. Hi, Maya.
Wait, really? Seriously?
That might be her. So my little sister's watching, guys. Be nice.
Oh, wait, I think you're actually right. That is definitely, that's definitely your sister. That's definitely your sister. All right. Well, glad that everybody's here. Tell your friends to come watch. But everybody that's on here right now, I like to talk about the sales because if you guys don't know about them, you guys can dive right in. If you're on the Discord server as well, if you guys jump in there, which again is in the link in the description, sometimes I post sales in there, and you guys can obviously post them in there as well. But let me talk to you guys about the sales that are currently out at this very minute. So if you guys
on
are
PlayStation 4.
Yeah, on PlayStation 4. So if you guys are interested, time to get through it. There are two major sales. The first one I want to talk about is the Square Enix sale. We're actually going to we're going to talk about something recently that happened with a developer that's worked with Square Enix because Sleeping Dogs is actually on sale. Sleeping Dogs is around is around $8, and this is on PS4. This is the definitive edition. So if you guys haven't jumped into Sleeping Dogs and you would like your open world crime games, you should definitely grab Sleeping Dogs, the definitive edition, for $8. It's worth it.
Yum.
Tomb Raider, the definitive edition, so the original, that's also on sale. I don't actually see the price, unfortunately, because I already have it purchased, but that is a game that's on sale. It's 75% off, so I'm actually assuming it's a similar price, probably around $8-10. Definitely take a look at that. But if you're interested in less of a 3D, a third-person action roaming gaming or whatever, there's top-down Tomb Raider game, Lara Croft and the Temple of Osiris, and you guys can get that bundled with the season pass, so all of the different content, and that's around $8 as well. Life is Strange, the complete season, so all the complete season, I believe it's just season 1.
Yeah, there's only one.
Yeah, and it's episodes 1 through 4. That is $10. Murdered Soul Suspect, which definitely wasn't worth buying at full price. But I don't know what the price is right now, but I'm assuming, again, it's probably very inexpensive. Thief is $5.
That's worth.
And Hitman Go, which honestly is probably the best game on this list, is $4. Guys, these prices are insane. If you guys are just chilling, and you guys just got paid, I don't care. You guys have $20. You can get 2 games. You can get 5 games on here. Not 5, but maybe 3. There's a lot of games on here, and these are good games. Life is Strange is, like a kind of a Telltale game, like where you go around, click, point, and venture. You go through the story. Lara Croft is a great game for a lot of multiplayer, a lot of cooperative gameplay. Tomb Raider and Sleeping Dogs, again, awesome AAA action games. You might even say double A maybe for Sleeping Dogs, but AAA action games, open world, and then Murdered Soul Suspect and Thief. These games didn't get great ratings, but at the price tag of $5, it might be worth it. So think about these things, but I definitely wanted to let you guys know. And the second sale is the Bethesda sale, and these prices are way higher, but a lot of people would say the quality of these games are a lot higher as well. The first one I want to mention is Fallout 4. Unbundled is $30. So I'm pretty sure that yeah. So this is a great deal. Obviously, I'm not sure if it's going to stay there or not. But it is $60 and it is on the sale for $30. So that's half off. If you guys haven't dived into Bethesda's games recently or one of Fallout 4, maybe you're a Fallout 3 fan, definitely probably worth jumping in. I'm not the biggest fan of Fallout 4, but I can tell you right now that Peaches is. A lot of people are. Probably worth jumping in. Another game that Peaches is very fond of, Doom. Doom is also $30. So again, these are the big price drops here, half the price. And I would probably say you'd probably agree with me that it's worth getting these games at $30, correct?
Let's see. You said Doom was $30?
Doom and Fallout 4 are both $30.
If I had to rate Doom right now, because it is on my games of the year, it is a $60 game. So you getting it at 30, there's no excuse. That's perfect.
All right, cool. And remember, guys, if you guys are more physical, based games, if you like your physical disc, if they're $30 here, you can bet that they're going to be like $25, $20 at a GameStop. Not saying that you guys should go out and buy those games like that. I'm a big fan of digital, but I understand if you guys want the cheaper price, they're probably a lot cheaper at GameStop. Though, granted, this is a sale, and we don't know how long it's going to last. There is a bundle for Fallout 4. It's the deluxe digital bundle, and I'm assuming that just has the season pass. That is at $55. So if you were going to buy Fallout 4 for full price, now you can get everything for a little bit less than full price. And then the last 2 games that I wanted to mention was The Elder Scrolls Online, and that is the Gold Edition and the Tamriel Limited Edition, which is just the normal console version. And the normal console version is at $20, whereas if you want to get the Gold Edition with a whole bunch of other extras, that's $40. Now, I've been actually looking to get into the Elder Scrolls Online. They just had a huge patch to bring the entire world together, so it's a lot more like the experiences that we're used to in an Elder Scrolls game. I haven't really dove into it yet or wanted to invest into it yet because I know it's going to take a lot of time. Not sure if I have the right group of people to play it with yet, but at this price tag, you might want to think about it. So those are the big sales. Now, if you guys do have PS3s, I'm not actually going to go over what's there, but I'm jealous. If you guys don't care about what's new, if you guys haven't played a lot of the PlayStation 3, library, there is a ridiculous amount of sales for at least the Square Enix sale. All of the Hitmans are on sale. All of the Just Causes are on sale. Deus Ex Human Revolution is on sale, including the director's cut. Kane and Lynch, which I actually was quite a fan of the first one. That's $4. Every game here is equivalent to the price of a cheeseburger. This is ridiculous. If you guys have a PS3, hop on it. If you have a PS Vita, definitely check them out, but I'm not going to go through it here because it's not worth it for the majority of you guys. Okay, so those are all the sales. I hope you enjoyed them. I'm definitely looking into possibly buying the Elder Scrolls Online. We'll have to see. But let's hop to it and get to the actual news of the day. Let's jump into it. So the first thing that I want to talk about is Overwatch. For those that don't know, me and Peaches are huge Overwatch fans, obviously, and we play basically daily. And there have been some big changes, especially to the PC side. So for those that don't know, there's something called the PTR, which is the public test something. It's a test server. Well, it's R, so I don't know what R stands for.
Oh, no. River.
Maybe. So I don't know what PTR stands for, but it's for play testing. It's for testing new patches that are going to come out. So they basically throw out a whole bunch of things like, hey, we're going to try and make this change to Reinhardt or to Soldier 76. What do you guys think about it? And obviously they listen to feedback, but they also look at a lot of data. It's very interesting because they just changed the way that they're doing this. And instead of throwing out one or two things and putting it into the PTR, they're now taking a huge amount of changes, throwing it at the PTR and seeing what sticks. This is what's called fast iteration, and it allows Blizzard to take a look at tons of different things, tweak them here and there, and then bring them over to the live servers. I think this is really interesting. We're not going to go through all of the changes. There are a ton of them. The biggest ones for those that do play Overwatch is that there's been a 25% increase to all ultimates to charge. So that's a big huge one. But there are lots of other ones. Soldier got a huge shift in how much damage he does. Diva moves a lot faster. Torbjorn is getting a big buff.
And she has 200 health, 200 additional health on her mech too. So now she's more tanky and stuff. So Diva and Soldier 76 are my two favorite changes of her actually being a tank and Soldier putting out more damage because oh man, I've been playing McCree so much recently because I like his damage output just makes more sense to me in the way that I play too. So like this is great. Can't wait to jump back into Dad.
yeah, lots of changes. Again, if you guys are interested in those changes, I might be able to put them in the description below after this, or talk about it in the Discord server. Again, in a link in the description below if you're interested in joining the Discord server. But you can also just Google it. There are lots of great YouTubers out there. Unit Lost. Force Gaming, Your Overwatch Central. Go ahead and just look those up, and you'll see there are tons of changes, and they're continually being iterated. But that's not the only thing.
I to all those channels.
Of course. That's not the only thing that I wanted to talk about. There have been some big changes with how a specific character has been represented recently. So a character is coming out. Her name is Sombra, and we don't really know much about her, but we know a lot about her. There's been this this ARG they call it, but there's been this like this game outside in the real world to figure out who Sombra is, this new character. And there are a lot of people who are really frustrated with this because it's a lot of fun to follow this. But what happens is the hype train inevitably takes a hold of itself. People get so interested into this character and into what's going on that they go out and do their own research. They go out and they sometimes maliciously, not maliciously, but go out and try and data mine things, or even try and leak specific content that they got their hands on. They're not supposed to get their hands on. So lots of different ways that this has shifted, but basically characters coming out. What happened was there was this loading bar that happened at some point. This is a huge story. It goes all over the place. But basically, we thought we were going to get Sombra last week.
Yep.
Or this week, I should say. We thought we were going to get Sombra on Tuesday. And it didn't happen. And a lot of people are pissed about this. I definitely have my own feelings on it. Peaches, how do you feel about? And again, if you guys aren't interested in Overwatch, we'll try and make this quick. I know this is very specific to a very specific game, but I definitely think it's important to talk about. So, how do you feel about how Overwatch has been handling, or Blizzard has been handling the Sombra character release?
Unit Lost made a perfect video describing my feelings, which is Sombra versus Ana in terms of the way that they're being advertised and released. So Anna, when she was originally like teased or whatever, they tweeted out a pic of her rifle, right? We're like, whoa, new character. What's this rifle about? She's a sniper and she heals people. This is awesome. Then a couple days later, Anna came out with the gameplay. She was released in the PTR for people to tinker around with her. And then we got her later on consoles. And when, like the hype train met like a very nice, steady little choo-choo track and kept going. And we got a character that we ended up loving, becoming a fan favorite. Sombra is kind of like a Ubisoft game that they hyped up like 3 years ago, and the game isn't out yet. And it's like, why? Okay, I get it. Can we just see her in action yet? Because this ARG is getting like extremely winded. So the thing is, if they were going to start this whole like thing with Sombra and like start this ARG, they should have started it like a month ago, not a couple months ago, because this has been going on for ages, right? Because BlizzCon is November 4th or something like that, right? It's super close. So it's obvious she's going to be revealed there. Her latest tease in Spanish, basically the ARG got to the point where you were directly helping Sombra hack into like one of the factories in the maps in Dorado. And she's like, I'm working on my protocols. It's going to be done by next week. I'll talk to you then. So it got to that point. You look up at another tab. Like there are some things that I'm missing out. But basically, next week, we're expecting another big thing. But at this point, I'm like, I'm done following this ARG until she comes out because I don't really care. But when she comes, I think she's definitely going to be released at BlizzCon, but they're going to reveal several new modes on top of her. Because we just expected that we were going to get another character drop like Ana. Like, we want character. Now we have character. We didn't expect that she probably is a part of a much larger set to change the game. Those are my thoughts. So
yeah, no, I know. I'm glad that I mean, this is the good thing about GearCast is you guys get to hear different sides and different ideas. A lot of the time we do agree on a lot of things, so you don't always get to hear multiple sides. This is one of those things where we definitely have a difference of opinion. I care very little about the ARG, which in turn makes me very okay with the rate at which the ARG is moving. And I'm also very involved with like development ideas and methods. And I really, really like watching the Overwatch developer, like not diaries, but Jeff Kaplan, I think is his name.
Developer updates.
Yeah, the developer updates. He comes on and he talks about things. And the last update, he talked about Overwatch and all the things that are happening, different game modes that might or might not come out, characters that are in development. And it's very apparent to me that Summer's just not ready. She's not ready to come out. And I think they have a date where they want her to come out. And I think it's BlizzCon. The ARG was actually not started by Blizzard. And I think that this is what is the most interesting thing that a lot of people don't recognize is that this ARG started because of fans. Fans took a look at the things that were involved in the game because Sombra was appearing in the game in different ways. Then lots of different, like fake things came out. And then Blizzard was like, hey, why not? Let's jump in. Now, they might have planned to do the ARG before, I'll be honest. But even so, they started to put things out. And a lot of it was like, okay, let's wait. Let's see what happens. And these games, these puzzles were really, really intense. The average person can't do this. Like very intelligent people had to come together and collaborate to get these puzzles done. I think that was really, really cool that Blizzard did that and got people hyped. Sombra as a character, as an idea, obviously was solidified. They knew exactly who she was as a character, but as a gameplay element, I don't think they 100% knew. And what I think is happening right now is that because of the leaks that recently came out that were not Blizzard authorized, now people are getting salty because they just want to see her. She has been shown to the public, at least we think she has been, because of these leaks. And so I think everyone's now like, oh, well, now we get to see her, right? I don't necessarily think that that's the case. And I think now people are getting really upset about it personally, it's not like I was involved in the ARG. I didn't work for it. I didn't do it. I just followed it. I just followed random YouTubers talking about it. And now I think, Unit Lost, mentioned a really great thing is that he thinks that when Sombra, appears, there actually might be a very similar game mode to the current Junkenstein brawl that's out, which is this PvE game mode, that it's going to be the same thing, but with Sombra. So instead, you're going to be attacking this specific base that she's going after, the specific corporation that she's going after, and you're either going to help or defend. I think it's really, really interesting. And I think there's a lot of things going out, but I don't care at all. I play the game competitively once a day. And for like maybe 2 or 3 hours, and then I go to sleep. If a new character comes out, I'm not even going to have time to truly invest into the character. So if it comes out in a month, fine. If it comes out in a week, awesome. That's how I feel about it personally. But let us know what you guys think in the chat or join the Discord. Again, link in the description below, and let us know what you guys are thinking. But that's basically the things that I wanted to go over for Overwatch. I definitely would love to go over and have maybe like a GearCast speaks or chats or something like that about how games are changing overall, especially shooters, because the shooter genre is obviously changing quite a bit. And we're starting to see this a lot from Overwatch because they have events and things like that. Destiny has events, and it's more like this MMO live atmosphere and not just a first-person shooter, go out and kill everybody and play the game. And I really, really enjoy that. But that's a conversation for another time. So I hope you guys enjoyed that segment. Let us know what you think about Overwatch in the description, in the chat, in the whatever that thing is called, the comments down below. All right, so the next thing that I want to talk about, and this is definitely probably more applicable to all of you out there. I apologize for spending so much time on Overwatch. Battlefield 1. So Battlefield 1 was released recently. I believe it was released, was it yesterday? Was it on Friday? Tuesday. I think it was released Tuesday for some. I think it was released for everyone on Friday. Right. I could be wrong, but the release schedule with this was really, really weird. Battlefield 1, a lot of people were anticipating this, and the reviews are really good. The reviews on Metacritic is 89. That's the Metacritic review, very much in the green. And if you guys don't know Metacritic, it just literally just averages all of the professional critiques out there and puts them together in a number. And 89 is high. That is very high. And the user score was 8.7. So again, that's pretty high. You see a lot of user scores all over the place. Like, for example, you may have a Call of Duty and the critics say that it's the best game ever, and users say that it's the worst thing ever. And again, there's not a ton of people on Metacritic, reviewing it in terms of users. Usually it's around, anywhere between 200 to 1,000. So it's not a huge sample size, but, so I think this is interesting because, Peaches and I have both expressed interest. Peaches, you've expressed a lot more interest than I have, but I've definitely wanted to see how the game was going to go. I wanted to see if the game was going to be any good, if they were going to have launch issues. I've heard there's been a couple of glitches here and there, but otherwise, it seems to me like a lot of people are saying the campaign is really great, which historically, Battlefield campaigns are not great, but it seems like they're saying that the campaigns are really, really good. I haven't heard anyone say, oh, they're the best, but they said that they're really, really good. And the multiplayer is obviously where it shines. They said they got rid of the Levolution crap. Instead, they have these massive war vehicle things that change the more destructible maps, so no battle is the same. The maps that you've been talking to me about time and time again, these ones are a lot better. I am actually really interested again to see kind of where this game goes, but there are still very differentiating different opinions out there. And so I'm wondering, now that the reviews are out, I know that you have not yet purchased the game. What are you thinking? How do you feel? I mean, again, the reviews, I just watched IGN's review. I think it was a 9.2. A 9.2. That's high. So what are you currently thinking about this game?
Heck is a 0.2 anyway. Oh god, number scores are dumb. So for me, I haven't bought it yet because I have a lot of games. There's a BioShock collection that I'm ignoring. Skyrim is coming out next week. I'm just like, I don't want to invest time in a multiplayer shooter yet because also The Halloween Overwatch thing isn't done yet, so I don't want to jump in yet. Also, I feel as though I need to jump in with a group of people because, like, I remember I was super excited for this because I was like, it's time for like a really nice, good historical piece first-person shooter. Now that we have the technology that we do, and Battlefield 1 seems to answer that call. But oh my god, Changier sent me this beautiful video of a very shared sentiment that he and I have that he definitely has less tolerance for than I do. What's the YouTube channel that released that Battlefield 1 compilation, like the Battlefield 1 experience?
Donkey.
That was so funny.
Dunkey. Yeah, I am big fan. Big fan. I think he's very funny.
He makes fantastic compilations and he's so funny. The thing is, like, he's trying to play Battlefield 1 through match, another match. But the thing is, he keeps getting killed the second he spawns in. And Battlefield has always been that way forever, just because if you're in these large scale conquest maps and there's 64 players everywhere, you're going to get shot somewhere. You have one side that says, well, that's a real simulation of war. You know what I mean? Like, you're like this part of the large scale conflict means the soldiers die at like all these random times. It's huge. It's chaos. That's what war is. But on the other side, and where like is where I often find after about an hour or two, I'm like, okay, I need to stop playing this. Is I don't even get a chance to contribute to my team or whatever because I keep dying over and over again. I'm not actually playing the game that I paid for because I keep dying so quickly. It's like, well, why'd you get better at the game? I'm like, I can't. I physically can't because I keep dying. Like, it's not about skill. It's about me being hunted down by people like in the spawn. Anyway, so I'm so glad that it's getting such amazing critical reception. But I have other multiplayer stuff that I'm more interested in, even though I'm super interested in this. And Skyrim is coming out, so I don't really care that much. So it's funny how my feelings changed over time because I was like, I had no doubt that Battlefield 1 was going to be great. But it's still Battlefield, so I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna wait.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, right. I mean, you were all over on top of this game.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Kind of reminds me of how hyped I was for The Division, and then I just never purchased it, and thank God I didn't. But yeah, I think yeah, Battlefield 1 I think is interesting. Battlefield in general I think is interesting. Like you had mentioned, that video by again, I think it's O'Donkey, I think, or it might just be Donkey, but very funny video, and it's literally just him being like, all right, I just got Battlefield 1, time to get in the game. And he gets killed, and he's like, okay, all right, let's try this again. Gets back into it. It's just a consistent thing until by the very end, he's just like, I hate this game. And I share his sentiments 100%. And this is why I don't ever just really want to get a Battlefield game. Is that like I do feel like you have to have a really good group, whether that be 2 people or 3 people or even just 1 sometimes. But I'll never play it single player. I mean, unless I play the campaign. But I thought it was interesting because I thought about other games that are like Battlefield, right? I mean, first of all, to give a little bit more information on why this game is so critically reviewed, one is the weapons. They mentioned that the weapons they thought were going to be really boring, but all of them are really well tuned. You can customize them, and the customization really makes a difference comparatively to Battlefield 4. They were mentioning, honestly, not much of a difference. A lot of people complain about the samey feel of all the weapons comparatively to its predecessors. But they said Battlefield 1, all of the weapons, fantastic. The aesthetic, obviously, the time zone, all of those things, obviously huge. World War I, really awesome game, right? The maps, people were talking about the map design is really fantastic. They like the fact that you can get into these huge all-out war things, and depending on where you spawn, you're going to get a different tactical advantage, and you can play towards one way, and then when you get tired, maybe try a different way. They were mentioning a lot about, I watched The Lobby. It's a podcast on GameSpot, I believe, and they were talking a lot about the different shooters that are coming out this fall. And they mentioned how in Battlefield they think one of the most interesting things about it is the fact that when you play Call of Duty, if you're on a losing streak or things aren't going your way, you burn out, you quit, you leave. Where Battlefield, if things aren't working, you shake it up a bit. You get in a plane, you get in a tank, you get in a horse, you play stealthy, you start sniping. There's all these different ways to play, and I think that's very interesting. And the last thing is the modes. They mentioned that there are some new modes, and the biggest one is a mode that's very similar to if you guys have played Killzone before, not No, they haven't had it in Shadowfall as well, but in Shadowfall and in Killzone 3, they had this this type of game mode where you played multiple different games, but they all went across a storyline. And I really, really enjoyed that. It was a very light storyline. It wasn't super realistic, akin to the game's story in terms of realistic. But apparently, they have this operations mode now that I think is like an hour-long game or something.
Oh, yeah.
That you're constantly going through this story, and whether you win or lose, you still feel like you've made a difference. And I really, really like that. And I'm intrigued to watch some gameplay online and just see how that goes. Battlefield 1 is definitely a game that I will get, but it's one of those things where I'm definitely don't need to get it this year. Probably next year at some point when there's a sale, even if it's at $40, I'd rather save that extra $20 and spend it on another game. Well, we just mentioned all those sales. I think that there's going to be quite the difference. But yeah, I think you and I both have the same sentiment. We can wait, but Battlefield 1 does look like it's doing really well. And if we're going to get into this game, we need to get in with a group.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And so that is
kid baby seat. Come on. When you listen, Quincy, even if you never watch this ever, I'm not getting Battlefield 1 until you do. That's gospel.
There you go. And so that is our feelings. Those are our thoughts on Battlefield 1 and the Battlefield 1 reviews. All right. So let's go ahead and take a look at the next game that I want to talk about. Again, this is still, pretty much in the news here. Gears of War 4 recently came out. We're going to spend a little bit less time on this one. The Metacritic score was an 84, and the user score was a 6.6. This is kind of weird. I did look at the reviews for the users. It was like a ton of love and a ton of hate. There weren't any medium ones, so I think it was a lot of like trolls, or maybe not even trolls, but just angry people that gave it zeros. I usually take the user reviews with a grain of salt. I usually take a look at the Metacritic critic scores and then watch or read some of the ones that I find really intriguing. So
you watch them.
Yeah, well, I did read some of them. I mean, some of them don't have videos, so I read them. But yeah, I know you are. So for Gears 4, this is really, really interesting. First of all, I don't have an Xbox. You don't have an Xbox, but I do have a rig. I did build my computer, and I've been thinking a lot about what's the first game for Xbox Anywhere, Xbox Everywhere that I'm going to get? And I think it's going to be Gears. And here's the reason why. Gears 4 is made by a different team. I think there are some of the same team members as the original trilogy, different people, and a different director as well. My favorite review that I watched is by Ryan McCaffrey on IGN.
Hey. Love that guy.
Fantastic. He talks about the campaign, and he actually makes a couple nods to The Force Awakens and how it's very similar in terms of how J.J. Abrams picks this up and makes a great movie that talks about a lot of the old movies. Same thing here for Gears of War 4. New director, talks a lot about the old games, but with a completely new cast, and they do have some crossover. And I think that was really cool. I know about Gears of War, but I never really dove in and played it. I played a lot of Horde mode with some of my old friends. I played a lot of a lot of the multiplayer as well when I was very young for the first 1 and 2. So I never jumped into 3. And so Gears 4, very, very interesting for me. And speaking of the multiplayer and the Horde mode, he talks about the campaign. He talks about the multiplayer, says that the multiplayer is fantastic, better than ever. But the Horde mode has gotten this huge remastering here. For those that don't know Horde mode, and if you don't know Horde mode, I'm confused, because anytime you see PvE, anytime you see player versus CPUs or enemies or NPCs or whatever, not other players, that basically originates from Gears of War 1 and Horde mode. You just have waves of enemies, and you're constantly attacking them. In Gears of War 3, they added this kind of tower defense addition to the game. It went okay, and now in Gears of War 4, they've mastered it. There are 50 waves that you want to try and get through. You want to see how far you can go. It's class based. They have these, they have, every time you kill someone, you get like, not loot, but you get like a currency that you can then, that's shared between the whole party, that you guys can then grab building materials and make different structures to keep guys from coming in so you can be more effective. You can build sentry turrets. You can have an engineer that then fix those sentry turrets. I love this kind of stuff. I love co-op games that consistently are changing, that are different every time, that have different things to master, different ways to play, and the strategic element is everything I ever wanted. My only issue is that I don't have any friends that play. Well, I have a couple friends that play on Xbox or on PC. But I do have a lot of you guys out there that play on PC. So if you guys have gotten Gears of War 4 and you are interested in playing Horde mode, let me know, because I would definitely love to hop on. That's kind of just like a little review for you guys. Obviously, I'm not reviewing the game. I don't have it. But this is from what I've seen. This is from what I've heard. The Metacritic score speaks for itself at a 84. It's very high. It's only a couple of points lower than Battlefield 1. Peaches, do you have anything you really have to say about Gears of War? I know you've kind of never really dabbled into it, and I know you don't have a PC or an Xbox, so.
I get why people like it, because I had a couple friends that were just obsessed with Gears. But in terms of art, like in terms of like what the game actually was, I was just like, yeah, it's a bunch of fat space marines with chainsaw guns, which sounds cool on paper, but I'm like, you all bore me. But this horde mode crap is cool. Like, like me bear hugging a chest high wall, chopping people up, whatever. It's pretty vanilla standard like these days of what horde mode it really is. But of course, you gotta give respect to the OGs, right? But I don't really have an interest in it. Quincy, have fun. You tell me how much fun you have. I don't really care. I'm gonna go back to playing Uncharted 4.
Yeah, I'm definitely very interested in it. I do want to correct you just a second. It is not vanilla in its horde mode. It's the opposite. This is kind of my point and what I was getting at.
Oh yeah, sure.
Is that they are the OGs, but the horde mode has taken a whole life of its own. Many people are saying that this is the highlight of it. If they just paid for the game and only got horde mode, the fact that they've made all of these new changes with this tower defense portion, this resource management, the strategic level on top of the normal horde mode that you see. I mean, take a look at Uncharted 3's multiplayer and its vague horde mode, and then imagine adding this whole strategic element onto it. I mean, it truly is incredible. So that's what
vanilla. I was saying in reference to like the last one that I played, which is like the second one, way after I played like a bunch of like other horde stuff. That's what I was referring to. I wasn't referring to Gears 4, like a horde mode being vanilla, because a lot of what you said sounds like what you and I always hop onto together. So
true. Okay. All right. Making sure we have that clear. Well, those are mostly my thoughts on Gears of War 4. Let me know what you guys think in the chat or in the comment section below. So moving on, that was Gears 4. We talked about Overwatch. We talked about Battlefield. This next thing I want to go over quickly, and I hope let me know, obviously in the comment in the chat, how you guys are feeling about this. I know we're kind of diving deep into these different, these different games and into some of the news here. But another game I wanted to talk about that was recently reviewed that is out for PC, but not out for PS4 yet, or Xbox One for that matter. And this game is Shadow Warrior 2. I love Shadow Warrior 1. And now that Shadow Warrior 2 is out, I've been itching to get my hands on this. And thankfully, the reviews have proven that it's probably worth diving in. For those that don't know what Shadow Warrior is, Shadow Warrior, it is on PS4, by the way. Definitely would suggest buying it. If you like games like Doom or any other kind of arena-like shooter where it's really just going around and killing things with different combos and different weapons, Shadow Warrior is worth it. Shadow Warrior 2 made it 10 times better. Let me give you guys a little bit of information. The Metacritic score is a 78, still in the green, very good, not nearly as good as Battlefield 1 and Gears 4, but still very good rating. And interestingly enough, it has the highest user rating out of all the other games, at an 8.8, higher than the 8.7 for Battlefield 1 and higher than the 6.6 for Gears 4. The main takeaway for me for this game, again, if you guys don't know what this game is, hopefully hopefully maybe I can get some gameplay if you guys are watching this after the stream. But this is just a single player. The original was just a single player. You go around with a sword and you pick your gun from a gun wheel and you kill stuff and use magic and slice things up while the main character makes penis jokes the entire time. And it's hysterical.
Yeah, isn't his name Wang? Like basically, this guy's like a badass Asian Duke Nukem, and it's a very silly sort of ROM thing. Yeah,
I love it.
That's where a lot of appeal comes to the first one for me. I remember my when the first Shadow Warrior came out, my manager at the time, because when I was working at GameStop, was like, "Hey, you want to rent this out?" And I was like, "I never heard of this. No." He's like, "You sure?" I was like, I'll pass. But then I saw a bunch of videos way after the fact, and I was like, this looks dope. And now it's a co-op game, if I'm right. Like,
so this is what we're gonna get into. The disclaimer: the Shadow Warrior 1 is actually a reimagining. Shadow Warrior is an old game, came out at the same time around Doom and Quake and all of those other older games where the gun is right in the center, and you're just kind of going around in this pixelated world. So this is a reimagineering, and the second one has made some big changes. The first, most immediate one is co-op. Yeah, this game now has cooperative gameplay. You can have 4 different people playing on this game, which is going to be really interesting, because imagine like that kind of gameplay, like where you have tons of enemies and then you have 3 other people on the screen with you just using crazy guns and knives and swords and stuff. And speaking of weapons, in the old game, there were only, I think, about 6 weapons plus your sword. This game has 70 plus weapons plus loot. Let me repeat that for you. 70 weapons plus loot. When's the last game? What is the last game that you played that had 70 plus weapons plus loot? This is insane. They have a ridiculous amount of melee weapons, of guns, machine guns, shotguns, pistols, all of these kind of things. And there's a loot system. For all those that don't know, one of my favorite second games of all time, so a sequel that has come out, is Borderlands 2. But another one is Darksiders 2. Now, I'm going to talk about Borderlands 2 in a second, but Darksiders 2 was I love the game because Darksiders 1 was cool. I like the aesthetic. I like the idea of it. But Darksiders 2 added a loot system. They made the game a little bit faster. And the loot system made the game perfect for me. I was able to find the right things, put them together, create the character that I wanted, and that's what they're doing here. You
got it for my birthday.
I did.
Thank you very much. I can't wait to play. I've been played for like an hour. It's pretty cool. I'm enjoying it.
I must say that I basically bought it for him so I can then play it later. But I'm excited because that loot system allows you to play Death in Darksiders 2 the way you want to play him. And in this game, in Shadow Warrior 2, it allows you to play Wang the way you want to play him. And that's what I'm super excited about. Like, it's going to be so good. I'm so excited. And so, obviously there's all the dumb, crazy Wang stuff, and that's going to be cool. But the skill tree as well is another big thing. They basically allow you to tailor your play style, and I always love that as well. And that really helps with the multiplayer. So if you have a friend that is, all about melee combat, which for those that know me, I'm all about melee combat in my shooters. I have no idea why, but especially my cooperative shooters. Maybe not my like competitive shooters, but my cooperative shooters, I love playing with like for example in Borderlands 2, that's the kind of stuff that I like. I always played as what's his name, the guy, Meat Bicycle, that guy.
Oh, the Psycho, Krieg.
Yeah, Krieg. Yeah, I always played as him. But anyway, a lot of things coming out of this. Again, the IGN review, which has not failed me recently. IGN's been doing some really great reviews. They mentioned, they were like, I think it was by Damon Hatfield, and he was like, "Yep, it's basically like Borderlands." Obviously Shadow Warrior, and a couple other games put together now, and I'm really, really excited for it. So I'm assuming, again, you don't really have much to say about it. You haven't you never played the first one, right?
Oh, no.
Yeah, so I actually have to say
but
I beat the first one, which is a big deal because I don't beat games. I beat the first. I played through the first one and beat it. So I really, really liked it. So I will definitely be getting the second one when it drops. And those are my thoughts on Shadow Warrior 2.
Shadow Warrior 2 drops.
those are my thoughts on Shadow Warrior 2 when the game drops. Let me know what you guys think about Shadow Warrior 2 if you're interested. If you haven't heard of it, definitely check it out. Again, hopefully there'll be some gameplay. Let me know what you guys are thinking in the chat or in the comment section below. So for the next one, we're starting to get into some actual news here, guys. I know we're talking about a lot of reviews, a lot of games here, but here's some actual news. We're going to get into the big news at the end. So you guys have to really stick around to get involved in the big conversations here. But here's something that I wanted to talk about for a while. There's a studio called Hi-Rez. And if you guys don't know who Hi-Rez Studios are, they make a very successful game called Smite. And it was pretty much the first really important, or the first MOBA, action-oriented third-person MOBA that got really big. The new one that's coming out is obviously Paragon, and is already out. You guys should definitely try it. I love that game. Haven't played it in a while. I know that Heaven Clone and Mexican play that game constantly. Myself and Ballistic Phoenix invested in the game highly. At some point, we'll jump back into it. But Smite is another game very, very similar. Third person, it's not top down, but it's more like an action-oriented MOBA game. And it's a lot of fun because you're able to, be more involved comparatively to this top-down kind of, clicking all over the place. So I really like the game Paragon, and I enjoy Smite for sure. But Hi-Rez has made 2 games recently. They made other games in the past, but they made 2 games recently. And I'm very interested in what you guys think about these. There's a game called Overwatch, and there's a game called Duelist. Look those games up. The reason I'm telling you to look them up is because these next 2 games, you might see some similarities. The first one being Paladins. Look up the game Paladins. If you guys know Nuclear Sharkhead, which I'm assuming the majority of you guys do, he's been doing a lot of coverage on Paladins. He's a big Overwatch fan, and he's I'm assuming a pretty big Paladins fan because he does play it quite a lot, and I watch his content on it. Paladins is very similar to Overwatch in almost every way. They basically took, well, I don't want to say they took Overwatch. These games have been in development very, very close to one another. So, I don't want to say they just stole things from them. It's been in development way before Overwatch was launched. Actually, a lot of people say that it was in development before Overwatch was even a game, an idea of a game.
Told us that last week, actually.
Yeah, I'm fairly certain that it was before Overwatch was in development, but not before Project Titan was in development, which is the original idea for where Overwatch came from. But there's another game, and again, that game's called Duelist. Now, I love Duelist. It's a strategy game based on basically you have a hero, and that hero summons minions, and then it's basically this checkerboard. You go out and try and kill the boss while also having to kill the minions. I really, really like it. The art is incredible. But Smite now has, or I should say Hi-Rez Studios, just created a game called Smite Tactics. And it literally looks exactly like Duelist. Now, this is interesting because they also created a game back in the day, and that was called Tribes Ascent. And Tribes is also kind of well known as a Halo knockoff. Now, I'm not against knockoffs, I'll be honest with you, right? A game comes out, everyone buys it, and then knockoffs come out, right? I mean, this happens. It's also, you also have to think about what is a knockoff comparatively to you're very inspired by a game. Yeah, right. You're very inspired by a game, and so you start doing these similar things. Hi-Rez Studios seems to really like doing this, and I'm not 100% sure how I feel about it. Now, Peaches, the reason I wanted to bring this up with you is because, you and I are, we love gaming. We're both definitely going to play Paladins. I'm not sure if you've actually played Smite or not. Kind of irrelevant to this conversation, but, how have you played games that are kind of like knockoffs or very similar to other games? And how do you feel about this kind of notion that, oh yeah, we really, really like this game, so we made a game just like it? How do you feel about that?
Here's an example. Mother flippin', it was Assault and Sanctuary. It's a 2D side scroller that prides itself off of being like Dark Souls. It's heavily inspired by Dark Souls, but when you play it, it's literally a 2D Dark Souls. And when I played it, I was like, this game's dope. I don't like the art of the actual character, but I like the bosses and I like the gameplay. And I'm like, this is cool for sure. See, when everyone says that there's I love this comparison. When there's a Dark Souls like, everybody poops their pants. Like, I gotta try it. I gotta try it because specifically as a fan base, we don't have a lot of, we have a lot of Dark Souls, but we can't get enough Dark Souls. You know what I mean? Comparatively to, there's this game that just came out. It's on PS4 and it's Xbox One, and it's unabashedly The Legend of Zelda. It's got the hearts, it's got the shield, it's got the boomerang, it's got your
Oh
grappling
yeah, it's
hook.
like
Like,
ocean something,
yeah,
Oceana. Yeah.
and people really like that game. So like it's a delicate balance, right? Because it's usually someone can say the case of, well, this game was released within a couple years of blah blah blah, whatever. There's a distance between the two, and there's nothing wrong with being inspired by another work that you like, because one can say that Junji Ito, the greatest horror manga artist of all time, just rips off H.P. Lovecraft stories and does his own twist on them, but that makes for genius content still. So it's like, I'll play Paladins, especially because like it's free to play, right? It's gonna be free to play on consoles or whatever.
That's what it sounds like.
You don't gonna play it, because I feel as though the more I play Overwatch, the more I feel as though this should have been free to play. So so there's no excuse for me not to try it, right? And if it's good and if it's fun, who cares? It's pretty harmless in that regard, right? So like,
Well, let me throw
yeah,
out play devil's advocate for you. So you mentioned, yeah, right, like as a consumer, like why do we care, right?
yes, of
Sure,
course.
yeah. Let me get this, right? Like free version of a game, of course, right? It's like if they make Call of Duty and then somebody makes a free to play shooter like Blacklight Retribution or something, right? Like why?
Oh.
Like why? I mean, and obviously I'm making a
Yeah.
joke. Like Blacklight Retribution, very different game, but it's like the shooter genre, right? Like, but this is very close in terms of the consumer. Awesome. But what about like the developer, right? Like if you have a
The artistic integrity of the development and design, yeah, you guys can be total crap heads, like definitely. But from a consumer standpoint, from what I thought we were talking about on that level base, I was like, yeah, what do I really care? But if I was a part of Dev's art, like Blizzard's art team, I would have been like,
let's take another step back, and so to give you guys, the viewers right now, you talk a lot about art, right? I can't really talk much about art. I am not very, I think if something looks cool to me, it looks cool. And that's really for everyone, right? Like artists, because it's very subjective, right? It's just kind of like, oh, this is very interesting. I like this a lot. Now, obviously you can look at it objectively to some degree, like talk about line work and some other things, technique. But in general, it's kind of just up in the air, right? Art is up in the air. Like, is it good? Is it bad? Meh. But when we talk about the gameplay mechanics, right? So when we talk about not the game artists, but the game designers, right? Like the ones that sat down and said, okay, we want the game to be designed like this. The maps, we want to be asymmetrical and to be able to do this when you're trying this. And these characters need to be sure, let's have a character that has lots of HP, but is easily taken down, but can easily heal himself as well. Let's try the designers who sat there and came up with all of that, which let's take a look at some of the games that maybe they took some things from. At what point, right? At what point does it stop? At what point do you just sit there and say, okay, maybe we should just find our own thing? Or do you think that this will always happen, and should it always happen?
So again, I'll refer to two things. One, that Legend of Zelda game, like they should be a little bit ashamed of themselves, because like there is no change whatsoever except for the actual aesthetics. Even like the story is like, you have to go find 3 magical pieces that will blah 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 save the world, and it's like, are you kidding me? So Zelda devs, what they would have been like, do we sue? Can we sue? Like, or something like that. Because also you have to think about each respective company and their money and their time investment. Because if Nintendo were to sue them, they would probably collapse under the weight. If they brought their case to court, they would have been like, it's not Zelda in this respect. You know what I mean? How about this? Resident Evil 7, if you told me that like Silent Hills was coming out and that was gameplay for it, I would have been like, yeah, they're Resident Evil. What? Because especially when it comes to the lineage of that series, right? So you have fixed camera angles, then you have third-person shooters, and now you have something that is literally Silent Hills inspired to the 10th degree. But of course, it's a special case because Silent Hills is defunct now because F Konami. So where is the line? We'll definitely have to see. It's hard because if you rip off a game and then you sell it and it's good, like, can you really? That's just unfortunate. You're an ass bag. And the developers would definitely feel some type of way. But when you think about all like Imitation brought some of the greatest, like most influential games ever. Like Sega saw Mario and they were like, crap, we want a mascot, we want a side scorer. Kids love these things. And then Sonic the Hedgehog, it became the greatest rivalry in video games history ever. And now they're friends. And one of them has no job. But that's beside the point. So like there is a fine line there. So, but the thing is, I'll say this. I haven't looked much into Paladins at all because I actually did perceive it as an Overwatch ripoff. I was like, why is this relevant to me? I don't really care. But now that it's free and that it might be free to play, I'm like, I'll give it a shot. But I wonder, I would love to get someone on IGN filtered. How about this? Get like an Overwatch dev on IGN Unfiltered to see what they have to say about Paladins, and then I'll be like, I would love to hear what you have to say about this.
Yeah, I mean, this is interesting, right? This is a morality question. I mean, this isn't like
usually you're a douche. Simple.
Right, but it's interesting because like, and the reason I ask like where does it start and where does it stop is because like when are you a douche, right? Like when, or like is it because like the guys that made the Legend of Zelda ripoff? I can imagine myself and a couple devs getting together and be like, guys, I need Legend of Zelda on PlayStation. And then someone's like, why don't we just make it? And be like, what do you mean? And be like, I mean, literally, let's just take it. Like, let's just make it. Like, Nintendo's not going to do it. Like, I don't want to buy, we should make this game. Like, we'll change some names and whatever. And, like, there might be some moral gray area where you're like, well, it is legal. Like, and
in the blurb, they'll say, like, oh, it's a love letter to Zelda fans and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, right? Like, it's interesting to be able to, like, think about that, like, mentally, like, that kind of morality. It's hard. And I think, you mentioned a lot of different ways that you could look at it. I think one of my favorites is I dislike almost all of the Assassin's Creed games. And one of the best Assassin's Creed games is Shadow of Mordor.
Yes, perfect example. But they, of course, added their own spin on it, right?
Right.
Here's another example. So you have stuff like that. Like Shadow of Mordor is the best Assassin's Creed game never made, and it's sublime. Look at Steam Greenlight. They'll be like, remember when Minecraft came out? All the people were crawling out of the woodwork trying to make like their perfect like Minecraft sim or like zombie sim. Like just go on whatever's on Steam Greenlight trying to be pushed out right now. I think Jim Sterling, as annoying as he is, like I have a love-hate relationship with that guy. He does the best of Steam Greenlight. He's like, look at this. I just want to make sure that you're all aware that these ripoffs are happening and this is disgusting. That's a very, very minimal way of describing that. But like, you look at Rust compared to Ark compared to DayZ, all clearly inspired by like two and definitely inspired by the other, but with their own changes. Like it's this weird thing that's going on, right? So I'll say this: what's the relationship between Call of Duty and Medal of Honor, or is Medal of Honor easily compared to like something else at the time? Because isn't that EA's like?
Well, Medal of Honor is kind of out of the door right now, but I mean that's a good point, right? I understand what you're saying.
I just figured I'd bring it up. Yeah.
No. That's a good point. That's a good point. Like there, if you look at the shooter genre, I mean, you have to compete to some degree, right? It's at some point, it's about competition in general, right? Like if you saw Hi-Rez and Blizzard as pure enemies and they were competing, it actually kind of makes sense for them to make two of the same kind of game and see which one's better. Like it almost makes sense in that regard. It's like if someone made a PS4 and then the Xbox came out and they're like, whoa, the Xbox is such a ripoff. Like what? Like no, dude. Like this is a different company. Like
comparatively to something like Overwatch and Battleborn, which that comparison is not really fair. You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, there's definitely huge similarities, but then you could also just say like, oh, look at Black Ops 3 and Overwatch. They have heroes. I'd be like, okay, what? Like, guys,
are you kidding me?
Too much. All right. Well, I'm glad we had this conversation. This was good. Let me know what you guys think. This was a good morality discussion here, and I want you guys to be involved as well in the chat and in the comment section, or join us in the Discord server. A link will be in the description below. All right, guys. So let's take a look into the next piece of news. This one will go by fast. There will be like these next three are going to go by pretty fast. We're not going to talk too much about our feelings about them, kind of just go through facts. The first one is PlayStation tournaments. That feature, PlayStation tournaments have arrived. If you guys don't remember this, back I think it was Shamu, or something like that, there was a big update coming out for the PlayStation 4, and one of the things that they mentioned was that PlayStation tournaments are going to exist. And I was really excited about this. They talked about, actually, we talked about it on the channel because it was on the French site. Remember? There was like
Yeah,
this
you're right.
on the French site, and they talked about like Street Fighter and NBA and all of these games. We're going to have these PlayStation tournaments, or at least the tournament feature. And I thought it was really cool. Now, the events feature does exist. I haven't seen it used much. It was used back in the day when it first came out for Blacklight, for Double XP weekend, and they may still do things like that. I probably just don't play games that are like that. Overwatch never had like a Double XP weekend or anything like that. They don't have to do that. It's popular enough to not do it. But now they are paired. PlayStation is paired with ESL. And if you guys don't know what ESL is, it is the esports league. I'm pretty sure that's exactly what it stands for. It's literally esports league. And they're the biggest esports, literally the biggest esports organization in the world. And it's pretty incredible because now those two are paired and they are officially starting tournaments for NBA 2K17. Now, if you guys haven't heard about this, I know this isn't a very big deal for myself and Peaches, but we actually watched E3, I guess this year. Yeah, it was this year. Wow, weird. This year, and they mentioned how they were going to do for all of EA's sports franchises. They were going to do these big tournaments. They were going to do massive tournaments on a stage. They were going to do smaller tournaments on consoles, and that's what this seems to be. So I'm really excited for this. If we can do things like this, this is how we're going to be able to do tournaments way easier for Blacklight Retribution, tournaments that anyone can get involved in for Overwatch. It's going to be really, really intriguing and really interesting. PJs, you have thoughts on this? I thought that this was pretty cool to share. Obviously, we'll have to see how it affects the PlayStation ecosystem in the future. But
Well, I can't wait for good old Andy or Sean talk about those numbers at the end of the year at the Disc Controls thing. We're very happy to say that the PlayStation tournaments have amassed blah, 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 millions of dollars and the teams are here today to demo the new first-party game, blah, 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 specifically for a PlayStation tournament. And, that's inevitably coming, right? So, but depending on how the feedback goes. So, it's not really relevant to our space, but for those that are extremely PlayStation community intensive, they're more crazy than us. It's can't be anything but good, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's important to mention, competitive and interested in PlayStation, right? Because I don't know how many people are that much more interested in PlayStation than us, but you have to also be on the competitive
adapters.
Side. I mean, I got it. I'm on that island. Cool. Okay, so that's PlayStation tournaments. United Front. I mentioned Sleeping Dogs. United Front is the developer of Sleeping Dogs. They're the publisher with Square Enix, and the publisher of Sleeping Dogs, United Front, has gone down. They are out of the game. They are no longer a developer. This is interesting because we don't know why. As in, this information just kind of came out of nowhere. And the reason that a lot of people found out was because they were working on a new game called Smash and Grab. Now, let's back up for a second. United Front, they created one of my favorite games on PlayStation 3, and that's Mod Nation Racers. They made Mod Nation Racers. They also made the terrible sequel, which wasn't actually a sequel, Little Big Planet Karting. They also helped with a lot of definitive editions. They helped with the definitive edition of Tomb Raider, and to come on PS4, and of course Sleeping Dogs, and then Sleeping Dogs Definitive Edition. But they were working on this new game called Smash and Grab that was for the PC currently, and all of a sudden it disappeared. And then when people followed up, they said that the company had went down, and we're not sure why. It doesn't seem like it's financial, and if it was, it certainly wasn't transparent, because again, this game was recently announced. Actually, it was last month that they mentioned the developer of Sleeping Dogs is making a new game, and all of a sudden,
Sleeping Dogs Online and stuff. There were entire previews of that thing, and you and I were like, wait, can we just get Sleeping Dogs too? But I have no idea what this. Obviously, our condolences to those who have lost their jobs, and we hope favorably that they get their.
Really, if they lost their jobs, right? This is what's weird. We don't really know what's going on. The website's still up, and it just seems like things are kind of all over the place. But if people have lost their jobs, for sure, I hope that things work out. But that it?
I mean, what was it? Maybe Wei Shen came in and killed everybody.
the protagonist of Sleeping Dogs.
That's a cultured reference.
Yeah. So anyway, we just wanted to make sure that those that were interested, if you guys had played Sleeping Dogs, you guys had played Mod Nation Racers, which I love Mod Nation Racers. Yeah, Sleeping Dogs was fine, but Mod Nation Racers. R.I.P. All right, let's move on to the next topic here. Voice actors on strike. This is a big deal for you and I because
long time coming.
we're like huge on voice actors. We wanted to be voice actors for a long time ago, and then we kind of just were like, and now we just make impressions. But voice actors
and lend our voices to like animator projects at colleges.
Yeah,
mainly our buddy Ange.
Whatever works, right? However, I can get my voice out there. If you guys need me to do some animation voiceovers or maybe a commercial, let me know. But a channel trailer. You guys have YouTube channels? Let me know. I'll go ahead. I'll be right on there.
Can you do your DGFA customizable ringtones voice? Demo that for the audience.
DJFA customizable ringtones. Stones.
There you go.
I love this kind of stuff. But voice actors, it's interesting, right? Actors always want to get paid more because they think they do more. But voice actors it's interesting. It's very different, right? Voice actors don't spend as much time in the studio because they don't spend as much time in the studio. They don't have as much work.
Sometimes they're told they're given a voice gig, and then they ended up having to learn an entire new skill set, like unknowns to them, that they have to do mocap and stuff like that. But this happened to Troy Baker like 6-7 different occasions. Like, okay, I'm going to do voices, right? He's like, okay, now get in the suit. Why the suit?
Good point. Yeah, I mean, voice act. Granted, let's put it this way: games have changed a ton. Games have been changing for a long time. So voice actors back in the day, obviously very different than voice acting now. I mean, you have games that are fully voice acted, from top to bottom. You have some games that are barely voice acted. And I think this is interesting because these voice actors are on strike now. Now, there's a union. For those that don't know about unions and politics and stuff like that, it might be a little confusing. But basically, it's a group of people that got together to basically become a stronger entity. So, if you're, for example, I'll just make it like a teacher, and you go to a school and the teachers are the school is mistreating you or something like that, you can go to your union, which is a group of a whole bunch of teachers and a couple, officials and other things like that, that then come together and say, hey, you can't do this. Usually it's helpful for contracts. It's helpful for fair wages, things like that. But again, like there are some negative points to it and stuff like that. But voice actors, there's a voice actor union called SIG-AFTA, and there are a couple big voices in there. Nolan North being one of them, who is the voice of all of the Drake and all of Uncharted, and many other voices that you guys have heard before. But
it'll take you about 20 minutes to go through his entire IMDb of his voice acting career.
Right, but it's not just him; it's tons of other people. I believe FemShep, so the woman version of Shepard in Mass Effect 3, she's also part of this guild, this union, and basically what they want, what the voice actors union wants, is residuals for voice acting. So residuals basically is kind of like royalties, and that basically means if a game does well, the better it does, the more money they get. So if another 5,000 or another 50,000 or another 500,000 copies sell, they get another days of work paid out to them. This is interesting because
the question is did they want this as a guarantee? Because take the case of the very talented trio of New Air Dwells from freaking GTA 5. Obviously, their acting has created an entire personality and atmosphere for the game for Trevor, Michael, and Franklin. So I'm wondering, this is one of the highest grossing selling games of all time. Do they see any of that money and that sort of thing? So I was just okay, they want to be guaranteed royalties, or do they want to be contracted to certain characters, that sort of thing? So I'll probably have to look into it. But.
Yeah. So again, I mean, it's not as difficult as you might think it is. It's just residuals for the voice actor. So, for example, if you're the guy that voiced Trevor, and the game sells, you get paid for all the work that you did, more or less.
Shout out to Stephen Ogg; he's very talented.
So you get all that money, right? And then the game sells 500,000. It's first 500,000, right? And so you get another bonus, right? And then it gets sold another 500,000, and you get another bonus, another 500,000. And every 500,000, you get a bonus every single time, capped at, I believe it was 8 million or something, which is obviously GTA has sold way more than that. So that's
800 million in its first day, actually.
right. And so that's the kind of stuff that they're looking at. I mean, there's a contract that they produced to these developers, and some of these developers are big developers, big, like 2K and
Activision,
EA
Insomniac.
Right. Yeah. These are huge publishers and developers. Notably, Ubisoft is not on there, but that's because they don't even use a union. So it's very interesting to look at these things. Like, and again, you don't have to use a union. You know, they may pay better and be better and not use a union. And the argument on the other side, so the publisher and the developers are saying, we're not doing that because if we were going to give you guys residuals, then we better damn well give the developers residuals. Why would we pay you guys residuals? You're in the studio for a very limited amount of time. You record your lines and you move on. And then the developers consistently destroy their lives to create this game and they don't get residuals? That seems insane. Now, this is interesting because obviously you could then make the statement of, well, maybe they should go get a union, the developers, and they should get residuals. But there is no developer union. I think this is interesting. So
Amy Hennig was very vocal about this too, as to what you just said. Like these developers, like could ruin their entire livelihood crunching on a game. You know, crunch is obviously that point in time when the game's developed and like enters like this almost like its end, where people like basically sleep under their desks for like days, weeks, months on end. Who knows? But it is very taxing for them. So that's a very, very interesting point that I've not heard yet. Of being like, okay, so voice actors, residuals, great, but what about the devs that literally have to cancel vacations, cancel birthday parties, can't see their kids and stuff like that? Despite you getting additional work, it's obvious that you should be compensated for that additional take. But then there are all these devs where, unfortunately, like Amy Hennig said in this really beautiful, tragic, sad interview, Colin and Greg linked that in one of their episodes, it's like, yeah, devs' lives are very tumultuous and tortuous and stuff like that. So, like, unfortunately, this has become tradition for what crunch is in the gaming industry. So.
Yeah, so I think it's interesting. I mean, kind of on that point is, obviously there will definitely be a discussion later on, hopefully when I can get my old roommate on here, about publishing and developing and what that looks like in crunch time and what maybe new best practices could be developed for those things. But as for voice actors, what do you think?
Well, here's the thing. It's kind of like a case-by-case basis, but it's very clear from when they said they were specifically striking from these companies. I was like, these were the biggest names in video games and developers that you and I respect too. Obviously, Insomniac and a bunch of others. Like, I'm looking at this list and I'm like, I want to know what the stories were individually for what happened with these. Like, were they not compensated and stuff like that? I was like, because now I'm thinking, since Nolan North hasn't been in a Ubisoft game in a long time, did they actually kill off the character because they couldn't keep up with the demands of the work they just went through?
Let me clarify by saying these aren't it's not necessarily about individual story basis, right? This is about contracts. So the original contract for this union for SIG-AFTRA was made in 1994.
Oh,
right. So that's a long time ago. That's like when a guy had one line, like it's like and it was like the intro, right? It's like imagine
stop.
Yeah, imagine the voice actor for Overcooked, right? Like it's like it's like if it's even a real voice actor, it might just be like some synthetic thing. But one thing, or imagine Legend of Zelda, it's just a couple it's like, hey, listen, and it's a soundboard, and they put it all over and over again, right?
Or even Link yelling.
Yeah, so it's very different, right? It's a very different way because now we're talking movies. Like this is like movie length video, voice acting. If not longer.
To which I'll lead this. So when there's a very interesting thing that Jim Sterling noted in a video that I actually really like, which he was talking about Capcom advertising the new Dead Rising. One of the reasons I love Dead Rising, and one of the reasons I was excited is because Frank West is coming back for this 4th installment. But I was like, of course, you know me and my hawk hearing when it comes to voice actors. I'm like, that's not Frank. That is not Frank. That's not his voice actor or whatever. And who has come back? They changed his character design and they changed his voice. And you know what Frank sounds like if you played the 2 off the record, the original one, or in Marvel vs. Capcom. He's attached to his character. In terms of how synonymous he is with this character, almost like David Hayter levels of I'm attached to this character and I love this character. So when you look at the work that, let's take, for example, the guys at Naughty Dog, Troy Baker and Ashley Johnson go in there for voices, and on top of that, they have to do motion work, and on top of that, they have to do stunts. I'm like, you guys are doing work that parallels Hollywood right now in terms of film and filming, how come we don't have that mainstay and that kind of stickiness that those actors have with their characters and that sort of thing? Could you imagine for the next Taken movie, it's Liam Neeson's same character, but that it's not Liam Neeson? You know what I mean?
So what are we getting at? Hold on. What are you getting at? Are you getting at like people being changed out for other actors? Or are you talking about the amount of work that a voice actor does?
Kind of a little bit of A, a little bit of B. What I think personally is that, like, in terms of actors and acting, and in terms of what they need and deserve, in terms of those residuals, that's like one of the things on the list that I feel as though voice actors deserve, because in terms of what they're depending on what their workload is, they should be the stuff that they should get should be akin to what Hollywood actors are doing, because they almost have this like the same work set.
Sure, I got you. So
I do, like, in terms of residuals, 100% deserve.
So I would definitely recommend you personally go and look into this a little bit more.
Yeah, sure.
We also have very different ways that, again, Peaches is an artist, very different industry than I'm in. I'm a business guy. Like, I'm a business guy through and through.
And so it makes this conversation so great, because I don't know anything about that side, and he, like, of course, gets a perspective as to what the artist side's like too.
Yeah. So I mean, I can say this is probably the last thing we'll talk about for this is that residuals. I don't know if I agree with that. I'd actually go so far as to say, if you do that, which I don't think that you need to do that, then you need to restructure the organization of the entire company. If you're going to do residuals, if 2K Games is going to pay voice actors residuals, you need to change the entire company, and you need to give stock to every single piece of to everybody in your company, because
I had no clue, right?
Right, because why would you do that? It doesn't make any sense to pay. You walk in. If I walked in, I'm a voice actor. I go in and I voice act. Why would I get paid residuals if no one else in the company does? Now, again, the contract. We're not talking about what a voice actor does and doesn't do. That's not what this is about.
Okay.
It's not about compensation for if all of a sudden they have to do mocap. Like, that's negotiated within the agreement anyway, right? Like, that's a different segment.
Sure.
We're talking about like you're getting paid, and then all of a sudden you're not getting paid anymore, even though the amount of work that they did, they think has direct input to that. And I think it's interesting. And again, this is one of those kind of morality things again. And mind you, they didn't just say no. The developers weren't just like, or the developers and the publishers weren't like, no, we're not doing it. They said, no, we're not doing it, and we'll give you this instead. And again, I would look into that if you guys are interested. We spend a lot of time on this subject, and I know not 100% of you guys are super interested in all of these things. But did want to make sure that we kind of, spoke about those things. Okay, so we've got two other really big things. I think we'll end on the news today. Two other really big things, and these are the big ones. These are the really, really big ones. And I'm actually, I'm going to be, this is big. This is big. So let's just jump right into it. We're going to talk about Red Dead Redemption 2. Big trailer came out. This is huge. Everybody's freaking out. And it's interesting because it's just a trailer. And it's just a teaser. But if you guys don't know about Red Dead Redemption, it's a great game. I'm actually going to let Peaches describe it more, because I know Peaches has invested way more time in the original Red Dead Redemption and possibly even Revolver, and I have very different feelings about it. So, Peaches, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you saw and a little bit about the OG Redemption.
Red Dead Redemption is in my top 10 favorite games of all time. So what it is it's a Rockstar developed sequel to Red Dead Revolver, which I've never played, which is they're cowboy games. And so this one, they decided to take their archetype of what Grand Theft Auto is, i.e. a giant open world for you to explore and to interact with, and in their traditional cover-based shooter, open world, awesome criminess, and put that in take that in the Wild West setting as a sequel to that game. So you play as John Marston, Mr. John Marston. You used to be a bandit that rolled with I forget what the name of the gang is, but you roll with like notorious outlaws like Bill Williamson and so many other people that you eventually have to hunt down and kill, because the government basically took your hostage, your family hostage, and the government's making you kill your other outlaw friends so that we can get your family back. In terms of narrative, it's incredibly engrossing. John Marston is a really great character, very progressive. For the time period that he's in, which I love. The gameplay was a lot of fun. Like, the open world was a pleasure to explore, and it's just one of the most memorable experiences that I had that I think about on the daily, almost as much as Skyrim. So Red Dead 3 has been teased up the wazoo the past week. And by the wazoo, they mean they released 2 still images and then this minute trailer, which I loved. Oh my god, so rad. Overall, I'm a huge fan of the game, but also because I love westerns and that sort of thing, and that's where me and Chain Gear's views on that are just so polarizing, given like the terrible like we both agree that America's history is not good history. So like this is definitely one of the most like terrible like eras of American politics. Like this takes place after the Civil War, mind you. So it kind of also the Red Dead Redemption also serves as you get to see what the dying West looks like, and seeing as someone that has this kind of individualistic progression, this kind of character, how he deals with being a puppet of the government, how he deals with racism, how he deals with like other sorts of prejudices and that sort of thing. And like he's just, I love it. I love it so much. Where Shanger just hates cowboy. He even can't stand like McCree, even though like he likes playing as McCree in Overwatch when McCree has nothing to do with of course that time he's just a cowboy, but that's enough for Shanger to be like.
Yeah, I don't like cowboys at all. I played Red Dead Redemption, but it's interesting. I played Red Dead Redemption late on PlayStation 3 when I already had a PlayStation 4, and I enjoyed it. Many issues just because it's older and just had a lot of the normal open world tropes, and I'm very less I like open world games less than Peaches does. Peaches loves open world games. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, it's fine. If it's good, it's good. So Red Dead Redemption I liked, but literally the second I stopped playing, and I remember I was talking to my old roommate. We were chatting, and I stopped playing it, and I said, I think I'm ready for just the next gen Red Dead. Like I think like this is a good game. It's probably too old for me right now. I don't find the interest in playing this old game. It feels old. There are a lot of glitches. It's just not really the most smooth game. I don't like the Western setting. I'd rather just go back to playing Grand Theft Auto. It's basically the same exact game. So I think I'm ready for just a next gen Red Dead. So when I heard about this, not gonna lie, I'm pretty excited, and to
that's
clarify,
good to hear.
It is
I don't want you to
finish
this conversation with like you being like, oh, I don't care. I'd be like, no, please.
I totally get that. I mean, you and I have those conversations all the time. I'm like, yeah, dude, this game's coming out, and you're like, yeah, I don't care at all. But I'm not gonna say that I'm sitting there like, oh, I'm super excited. But I am interested, right? Like, I'm interested to see how this game comes out. I mean, it's going to get high ratings and things like that. It's a Rockstar game, and it's from a franchise that people love. Granted, people didn't love it until Redemption came out. And then this is Red Dead Redemption 2. This is not it is Red Dead 3 technically, but it is Red Dead Redemption 2, unless they change the name. But on the trailer, currently is Red Dead Redemption 2. And yeah, I mean, I don't really have much else to say. It's insanely pretty. Again, we don't know if that footage in the trailer was, we don't know if it's an engine. We don't know if it was completely rendered cutscene. We don't know. It obviously wasn't gameplay because nothing was being played, but it could have been.
I'll say this because when GTA 5 was teased and stuff, and they had like a Michael, I think it was like the first character being teased, obviously before Franklin, and lastly Trevor. There was nothing really they showed in game like the NPCs interacting in their spaces. So this definitely looks like in-engine stuff to me, and I wouldn't be surprised. But I'll say this much. I had this conversation because my buddy just got a PS4. He's like, oh, I'm going to get GTA 5. He's like, what's the difference between this and the PS3? I was like, you get to play in the first person, and there's a lot more grass. So I can't wait to see what Rockstar does with this technology, and I have my theories as to what the setting and the characters are going to be for in this game. Because overall, like, were you okay with the story of Red Dead? I mean, it's pretty vanilla in terms of westerns, but then again, your grandpa.
I thought it was boring. I thought it was boring. I didn't think it was well executed, but I had just played GTA 5.
Okay, right. So you had the perspective on a much better.
My exact reason for saying I think I'm ready for a Red Dead, a next gen Red Dead, like. Cool. Like, this is cool. I remember I actually had the same feeling for GTA. GTA 4 wasn't even announced, or 5 wasn't even announced for PS4 yet. And I was playing it on PS3. And when me and my roommates were playing on PS3, we were like, Yeah, this game's fine, but like we're ready for a next gen Grand Theft Auto. Like we were saying, like we're ready for next gen Grand Theft Auto. The loading times are stupid long. There's still a lot of
They're still
issues.
stupid long on PS4.
Yeah, right. And I was like, I
That's
don't.
what we do
Granted,
every day.
it's not a next gen. It's
Of
not
course.
a next gen, right? It's just it was remastered or whatever, like brought up, upscaled, I guess, right? But like a next gen built from the ground up. GTA would be great, and that's exactly what I'm looking forward to in this. This game isn't even coming out this year. It's coming out in March 2017. Fall. Okay, so fall 2017. That's great, and it's a lot of time for them to show us a little bit, give us a little taste, and then throw us right into it. I'm excited. It's literally just a year away, right? So definitely probably going to be one of my most anticipated to see. And I think I am anticipating to play it as well. I think I definitely have an anticipation to play. I do know at some point I'll have to spend a good amount of time at your place so I can actually beat GTA 5 because I did love the game. I just never really finished it. And I obviously have an account and stuff. I just never beat it. So anyway, those are my feelings on Red Dead. I really don't have much else to say. The trailer looked good. I'm ready for the hype train to start rolling. And we may even possibly have a hype train coming out soon. So enjoy the trailer. And that's basically both of our feelings on Red Dead Redemption 2. All right. So this is the last piece of news, guys. We're at an hour 30. This is the end. We're hitting the last point. We're not going to talk about the topic, as I had mentioned before. The topic, kind of the subject that we were going to end on, we'll probably do a separate video for that. Let you guys check that out. This is probably the biggest piece of news. When I say probably, I mean it is in terms of the gaming world. The Nintendo NX. The Nintendo NX is no longer in the PlayStation. Just kidding. And the Nintendo Switch is the new king of Nintendo. A new console has recently been announced, and it is the Nintendo Switch. It is a big new piece of hardware, and let me just give you guys the rundown. It's a tablet that has a dock and has attachable controllers. This is basically that is the basic rundown of the Nintendo Switch. It's a tablet. We don't know the exact size of anything yet, but it's a tablet that you can go ahead and use with these two attachable and detachable controllers that go on the side to have a D-pad. It's not even a D-pad. It's like buttons that resemble the ABXY or the square, cross, triangle, circle buttons. But instead they don't have that on it, so it's kind of like a D-pad and a control stick up top, and then a control stick down bottom, and on the other one with the ABXY buttons. These controllers are symmetrical, the same exact loadout. They also have shoulder buttons and triggers on the back. Again, you slot these onto the tablet, and you basically have a Vita of some sorts, kind of like device, but way bigger. Assumingly a way better screen, but again, the big thing is that you can then take those controllers off, put them into a little base unit thing to have an actual controller, and then put the tablet into a dock and use it on your television. So this is the main idea of the Switch. Now the Switch also runs with has an actual Pro controller, and the Pro controller is new. They left the PlayStation design, and now they're back on the Xbox design. So the as you guys can see, the analog sticks are down here. Instead, one will be down here and the other one will be up top. That's how the Xbox does it. I'm not the biggest fan, but it doesn't really make a huge difference. But so that's the change there. So there is a Pro controller for when you have it docked, and there's also a kickstand on the actual tablet itself. And they have, I think the last thing, they're using cartridges as well. So there are no discs. Obviously, you can download things. We're assuming you can download things on the Wii U. So So we're assuming that you're going to be able to download things onto this as well, but they have cartridges and they don't have discs. So this is very, very, very interesting. This is basically the whole thing in a nutshell. Now, there are lots of questions. For example, the games that are coming out with it, the battery life. One of the big things that people that Nintendo had mentioned is that they actually are using a custom NVIDIA chip. Now, if you guys don't know NVIDIA, they are the graphics card manufacturer. Obviously, AMD has their own as well. I am Team Green. But NVIDIA, they make amazing cards. They make incredible hardware. So
these are the videos that you see, like individual rain pellets dripping off of Batman's freaking cape in Arkham Knight, like those insane videos. Like, so these guys.
Yeah, like if you guys, for those that aren't huge techies, I built my computer and I have a desktop level, a desktop level GPU card, right, a graphics card. But you guys can actually get graphics cards that are better than the one in my computer in a laptop because of NVIDIA. NVIDIA makes incredible cards. And so they're saying that, there's this special made NVIDIA card just for the NX, otherwise known as now the Switch. So this is interesting because the big questions now really are, first of all, those little controllers can actually be used as player 1, player 2 controllers, which is less input. So we'll have to figure that one out. How big are they? The battery life and the games. So let's get started with the controllers. These two little attachable controllers. Peaches, how do you feel about these little controllers? First, let's talk about them in the way of actually using them on the tablet.
Oh, so we're not going to talk about the controller first?
We okay. Oh, the Pro controller?
Yeah.
Sure, we can. No, we're not. We don't know if the Pro controller comes with it. So that's one thing that I do want to, make sure everyone's aware of. We don't know if the Pro controller is a thing. Do you know if it comes with it?
I don't know, but it's freaking better. Oh God, I just know. Okay, so spoilers. I hate the Wiimote. As someone that owned like the Wii for like a good portion of time, like a couple of years, I was just like, God, I hate this thing. I really just hate this thing. I hate the fact that it's just like a square. I hate the thing that's not ergonomic. I hate like the buttons on it. Like I hate it. I hate it.
It's not a square.
You're right. So
art student.
Like I know, right? This is not it. Anyway, so I love this. I love having like stuff that's fitted to like my hands and stuff like that. This is a good size. Comparatively between me and Changir's hands, I have pretty small hands. He has pretty huge hands. Lift up those big hands comparatively to your face. Cause see those. Let me see your big ass hands. Look at those hands. Those are hands that say I can hold stakes individually in each one of those things. So like from the trailer. Like from those detaching, like, and when everybody was having that little, like, cool little Mario party on the top of the roof, and like the girl was like, "Here, take these little controllers." I was like, "How big? Are those like Kit Kat size? Are you kidding me? I can't play Mario Kart on that. I'm confused. Does that mean one is different from the other, but then they're the same? Like, can I have?
They're symmetrical.
Things? They're symmetrical. Okay, so so I'll say this. I need to actually see them. I need diagrams. I need to look at these for I want to hold one. I want to hold them and like see what they're actually like. Because otherwise, like I just want a regular controller.
So to clarify, those controllers can be slid off of the tablet and then slid onto a base unit to make a controller.
I mean, that's fine. Like because it has those little like that kind of like rounded. It has that rounded back because when you see like that whole base unit, it has that rounded back in the screen. I was like, oh my God. Because the Wii U gamepad sucked in that regard. It was like you were holding a little Fisher-Price toy and your fingers couldn't really comfortably get around that. So that's fine. But in terms of like sliding them off and using them as like external like controllers from when you're playing a game with someone else, they look terrible. But otherwise,
right. So we're not like again as individual controllers. Personally, I mean, I'll kind of give my 2 cents. Right, is that as individual controllers? I mean, it's weird, right? I think if you're playing Mario. Literally, like just generic, like side-scrolling Mario. I think that's fine. Like, yeah, here you go, dude. Let's play some Mario. Like, you just literally pressing a little button to jump, and like you have a little joystick to move around. I think that's fine, and I don't think that takes away from anything. I think it's a gimmick nonetheless. Like, it doesn't really do much. You're not going to be able to play a ton of games with that because you're missing tons of inputs. So, I mean, you're missing 4, 5, 6 inputs minimum. You're missing a lot more than that because you also don't have a second joystick. You don't have a second or analog stick. You don't have a touchpad in our case, or like a start and share button or anything like that. So you're really limiting yourself in the inputs. But in terms of one single controller on the tablet, I think it's incredible. I think it's an amazing idea on how to actually solve that. And I think on the base unit, I think is fine as well. In the very beginning of the trailer, it shows the guy holding those two detachable controllers on the base unit, not on the tablet, but on that base unit. It's not the Pro controller, just to make sure that is well known. He's using two individual controllers on the base unit. So do you still feel like the Pro controller has to come with the console?
Yes, I do. I will stand by that. Just because like everybody's like a different case, right? You know what I mean? It's one of those things where I feel as though the Wii U should have come with a Pro controller because not everybody likes to play on like the gamepad and sort of thing. I feel like there's but when I say that, I think about price, and I'm like,
wait, I'm confused. I'm confused. Like, why? Like the Wii U is a different story, right? Like the Wii U is like a gamepad. I'm like these controllers come off and go onto a base unit to basically make like a game controller like about this size. So like imagine these sliding off and then going onto like a tablet, and then you can take them back and slide them back on to this. You still feel like.
But what about when you're playing, just like having it projecting onto your screen? Like I would actually like to have a controller.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Because the base unit is still attached to the console.
No, it's not. No. When I say base unit, I'm not talking about the tablet. There's a tablet, and then there's also a little base unit for those controllers.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right, I would take a look at the trailer again and look at the very beginning. There are these the two little controllers are attached to a bridge. Like they're attached to a base bridge. It's not.
Right, I know that.
Yeah, that's a separate controller. That does not, and that's when the actual tablet is docked.
Okay, so that's when the tablet is still on the dock and you're holding the controllers. Okay, so like you're already like it's already projecting onto like your TV. So it's already docked. You have your TV, and then you have this separate like bridge with your controllers. And then with this bridge, it becomes enlarged for you to accommodate for using the.
No, it's a controller. It's the size of a controller.
Okay, then no.
Okay, I would
because I didn't know. Obviously.
Yeah, for those that didn't see the thing or see the trailer, definitely check it out and just look at the first scene. The first scene literally has the guy holding a controller, and the controller is not the Pro controller. And
okay, I thought it was the Pro controller.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Okay.
Yeah, you'll see
that looks fine.
They have Pro controllers, right? Like if you look at later in the thing when they're getting ready for Splatoon, they have Pro controllers. But when they're playing in the very beginning, when he's playing Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wind or whatever, Breath of the Wild, he has the two separate controllers connected to the bridge. They have two LEDs that show the power level of the both. So for those that might be confused, similar to Peaches, watch I would give you a suggestion to watch Yang Ye's video. Yang Ye breaks it down and does it really, really well. So he talks about every little piece that he sees, and I think that's very, very helpful. This is interesting, though, because I think this might be akin to what people are thinking. Obviously, you watched the trailer. You're actually into video games quite a lot. I'm imagining that people who aren't as attentive.
Moms and dads, sons and grads going into GameStop being like, what's the controller situation here from the trailer? Can you show this to me?
Yeah, no, I don't think that moms and dads are going to do that for their kids. I don't think they're going to care at all. They bought their kids the Wii. But I do think you may see kids going like, or even not just kids, but like people our age who aren't as into games, who are just like, oh, I saw NBA 2K, but like, I don't want to play on those little tiny controllers. I'm out. And so hopefully, I mean, obviously this is really, really early. This is the first trailer. And I don't think we're going to have that problem in the future. At some point, they're going to explain this is the unit, this is everything that comes with it, just like PlayStation VR, for example. But I think that's definitely interesting. So I guess the only other thing I want to talk about there is really the games, right? So this is actually, you brought this to my attention. I wasn't really aware. I saw the trailer, and so in the trailer there are a couple games that are shown. A lot of first-party Nintendo, a new Mario Kart, a new Mario that might look like a Galaxy game, a Mario Galaxy game, the new Legend of Zelda, and then they showed some third-party games. The biggest one definitely being NBA 2K, an NBA 2K game, assumingly 17, and playing it multiplayer, mind you. So 2 separate units.
Like we said before off camera, that boggles my mind because I can barely play 2K on like all of my inputs on the same thing, let alone playing with half of one.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what's up with that or if that's even real, but they also showed Skyrim, and that was a big one, obviously, right? I mean, Skyrim, one of the best-selling games, best-selling RPG. What does this mean? And it's interesting because we know that there are Nintendo partners, right? We know that there are Nintendo the developers and publishers that said, yeah, we're definitely going to work with you guys. Now, we don't know 100% what that means, but they're going to, technically, right, we're thinking that they're going to make games for them.
Yes.
So what are you thinking in terms of games? Obviously, we've seen the trailer, and we've seen that little graphic that shows that portion. What are you thinking around that?
Good to see devs like looking at a Nintendo piece of hardware and be like, I want my games on that thing. You know what I mean? See, Nintendo is like, right, third party. We kind of flubbed this up with the Wii. We didn't really take that all do that too much seriously on the Wii U. It's great. It's great to see so many people involved and wanting to see this stuff on the hardware. But it makes you wonder how powerful this thing actually is. You and I had this discussion. So in terms of how powerful it is, what does that mean in terms of price? But overall, great. Third-party support. Good for you. It's cool. But what's the situation with the Bethesda and the 2K not confirming stuff that's actually on the console? I don't know. That's a little confusing.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? This is a sampling of Nintendo Switch partners, right? They've got 505 games. They've got Activision. That's obviously a huge one because that means all of the biggest titles ever, including Blizzard's games and including, because it's Activision Blizzard. So it's highly possible that Blizzard's games could come on. Destiny, Call of Duty, those are huge, right? Arc System Works, which is kind of an obvious one. They're always with Nintendo. Atlas, Bandai Namco, Bethesda, and Capcom are both on there. Bethesda being the one that people are interested about. Bethesda has not come out and said Skyrim will be on the Switch. They have not said that. And so things are kind of weird. Not sure if that means maybe they will later or if they're working on it and they're not sure because they're not sure if they can actually do it.
And it's especially awkward because, it had a good amount of screen time on the actual NX trailer. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, Take-Two is also there as well.
Oh, yeah.
Take-Two. Actually, someone actually missed. Take-Two, Squaresoft, or not Squaresoft. Wow, weird. Square Enix, WB. So they're all there. But we'll see, right? It'll be interesting. I'm assuming this is a big thing, happening here. It's been received well. The Wii U was not received well. The Wii was received well, but quickly understood that it wasn't what people wanted. For those that remember back in the day, it was supposed to be the Nintendo Revolution. It was supposed to be something very different. So,
That's a great game.
But the Switch is now here. And obviously it's more of a gamer's game machine, less of a, mom and pop's game machine. And so it'll be very interesting to see how this works, right? It'll be very interesting. And they've also mentioned, a lot of people have mentioned, you never know, they may, those detachable controllers, they may sell different types of detachable controllers, which, could be interesting, could be gimmicky at worst, or gimmicky at best, I'd say, and just complete failure at worst. But yeah, I mean, so what are your last thoughts on this? I mean, obviously we don't have that much information. We have the trailer, but they haven't come out and said specific things, right? So what exactly are you thinking in terms of the Nintendo Switch? Do you think this is good? Do you think this is bad? Do you think it's working or what?
I want to see what works on that console. I want a Nintendo Direct of people sitting down, people like, we're gonna play 2K with this now. Let's demo to you how let's demo how everything works. So it's like, hey, look at this. Now with our partnership with with Bandai Namco, let's look at the new. Let's look at the new whatever game running on this thing. I'm like, I just want to see. It's great. partnerships with all those companies are great, but I want to see something running on this thing, which we will get. Definitely. Hopefully. Yes.
Yeah, we're hoping. So it'll be interesting. I'm on the same boat as like, yeah, I think it's interesting. We'll probably dive a little bit deeper into this later on in the year, talking about, at first sight, we both can say we're not interested in buying it, but we're definitely both interested in seeing where it's going. I mentioned that there are definitely things they could do to get me to buy this. I can definitely be, I wanted to say coerced. That's not the right word. I can definitely be pushed into buying this. But we'll have to see convinced. Yeah. So we'll have to see what the future holds. Those are our thoughts on the Nintendo Switch. What about you guys? In the chat or in the comment section below, are you guys interested in the Nintendo Switch? Do you like the name? Do you hate the name? Do you like the little controllers? Did you get confused a little bit about the controllers? It is definitely confusing. Do you think this is going to be another Wii U, or do you think this might be the PlayStation 4? Let us know what you think in the comment section below. All right, guys. That's the end of GearCast. Thanks for sticking with us. I know a lot of you guys, kind of came and left and things like that. I'm not sure who is still on checking this out, but we appreciate you guys for coming on. Again, in the description below, there is a link for the Discord. Also, we're going to try something this upcoming week. I'll be splitting up a lot of these videos, and I'll be putting them up on YouTube as smaller clips, right? 5-minute, 10-minute, 15-minute clips that you guys can watch. They'll have videos behind it. They'll have, obviously, the intro and outro, and I'm really excited for that. So if you guys like that, definitely let me know. That's basically all I have to say. I do actually see some people here. I do want to give a couple of shout outs for people that did come up on the stream today. Obviously, Peach's sister was here. That's always nice. The Solid Jungle was here. Actually, I just chatted with him yesterday, so thanks for coming up on the stream. Assassin, as always, thanks for coming on. Zeodux. I don't actually know how to say your name, but I know you from the Blacklight community, so thanks for coming on. Hitman, thanks for coming on. Who else? Old School Israel. Okay. Glad that you hopped on for a bit. Chocolate Delight. Thank you. Jordan is life. I appreciate it. Heaven Clone. Hello. And the Proud Noob, of course. I appreciate you coming on as well.
I thought about to say the Proud family was watching right now. I was like, oh, how are they doing?
No. The Proud Noob's been around quite a while. Him and I go way back in gaming, in terms of the Blacklight Retribution. Proud Noob says the controllers are actually different. I beg to differ, but that's okay. That's a conversation for another time. Well, guys, this is the end. Thank you for all your support. Thanks for watching. Even if you only watched a small portion of this, like this video if you like it, dislike it if you dislike it. Get ready for the clips to come out if you missed something in particular. We will see you online. When the patch drops. And we'll see you in the next one. Thanks a lot, guys.
Bye. Sorted out for you?